Orlan 10, a Russian reconnaissance drone built by a company in St. Petersburg, basically a flying camera that loiters for hours and calls in artillery. Launched off a rail catapult, comes back down on a parachute, and stays up for something like 16 hours just watching. The weird part is what people found when they cracked open captured ones. A regular Canon consumer camera duct-taped inside, a fuel cap made from a plastic water bottle, and Western commercial chips it was never supposed to have. Not exactly high-tech, but there's thousands of them, and they mostly just work. It's been Russia's main set of eyes over Ukraine, and it was flying that job before the invasion even started. Bayraktar TB2, a Turkish combat drone from a company called Baykar, 12-meter wingspan, stays up 27 hours, and carries little laser-guided MAML missiles. What made it famous is that it's cheap and simple compared to the big American drones, so smaller countries could actually afford one. For about a month in early 2022, it was the most famous drone on the planet, blowing up Russian convoys stuck on the roads to Kiev. Ukraine literally wrote a song about it. Then, Russian air defense figured it out. And this big, slow thing that flies at 80 miles per hour stopped being survivable almost overnight. You barely hear about it now. DJI Mavic 3. This one isn't military at all. It's a Chinese hobbyist quadcopter you can buy at an electronics store for a couple grand, meant for wedding videos and drone shots over the beach, which is exactly why it ended up being the single most used drone in the war. Both sides fly tens of thousands of them for scouting and for dropping modified grenades, because they're cheap, everywhere, and dead simple to fly. A Russian general called it an icon of modern warfare, which is a strange thing to say about something sold next to phone cases. DJI keeps insisting they don't make weapons and stop selling to both countries. Didn't matter. Switchblade 300, an American loitering munition, small enough to carry in a backpack, launched out of a tube like a mortar, and it flies itself into the target. Weighs under 7 pounds, stays up about 10 minutes, and the warhead is roughly the size of a 40mm grenade that fires forward like a shotgun instead of just blowing up in all directions. The US sent around 700 of them to Ukraine in 2022, where they worked great against trucks and gun positions until Russian jamming caught up and started knocking them out of the sky. There's a bigger brother, the Switchblade 600, that flies 50 miles and carries an anti-tank warhead ripped straight off a javelin.
3, 2, 1.
KUB-BLA, a Russian loitering munition. And here's the fun detail. It's made by ZALA, which is part of Kalashnikov. Yeah, the AK people build suicide drones now. It's a little delta wing thing that loiters around at 80 miles per hour for half an hour, spots a target, and dives into it with a 7-pound charge. It first showed up in Syria, then over Kiev in the opening days of 2022. Mostly it matters because it was the warm-up act for the drone that actually took over, the Lancet. Lancet, also ZALA, also Kalashnikov, and this is the one that became a genuine problem. It's got that distinctive double X wing shape, dives from above, and it hunts the expensive stuff. S-300 launchers, Western howitzers like the M777 and the Caesar, radars, whatever costs the most to lose. Officially, it reaches 25 miles, but they've confirmed hits out past 40. And here's the thing that makes it psychological. It films its own kill, and Russia posts the footage, so every Lancet strike is also a propaganda clip. It went from rare to everywhere in about a year. Shahed 136, the moped. That's what everyone calls it, because of the flat, buzzing whine you can hear coming for a full minute before it arrives. It sounds exactly like a scooter in the sky. It's an Iranian one-way attack drone running an engine reverse-engineered from a small German aircraft motor, and it's dirt cheap by design. Russia renamed it Guran 2, now builds its own, and launches them in swarms off truck rails to slam into power plants in the middle of the night. It flies over 115 miles per hour, reaches somewhere between 600 and 1,200 miles, and carries a 90 to 110-pound warhead for basically pocket change per unit. There's a smaller version, the Shahed 131, but it's the 136 that turned into the sound of a bad night in Ukraine. FPV Kamikaze drones. These start life as racing drones, the kind hobbyists fly through obstacle courses at ridiculous speed, wearing goggles for a first-person view. Strap a warhead on one, and you've got a weapon a pilot can steer straight into a tank. They cost about $400, which is the whole point, because they blow up things worth 1,000 times that. The operator sits in a bunker a mile or two back, with nothing sticking out but an antenna. By 2023, they were everywhere in Ukraine, and estimates put them at somewhere between 60 and 80% of all Russian vehicle losses. A $400 toy became the deadliest thing on the battlefield. Magura V5. This one's a boat, a Ukrainian sea drone built on basically a jet ski hull, packed with explosives and steered across the water by remote. 18 feet long, does 48 miles per hour, and reaches over 500 miles. And here's the part that's genuinely absurd. Ukraine has almost no navy, and with these things, they've hit close to 30 Russian vessels, sinking the missile boat Ivanovets with all 40 crew and a landing ship 2 days later. A country with no warships took out a third of a fleet using remote-controlled jet skis. Some of them now carry missiles too. In December 2024, a Magura became the first sea drone in history to shoot down an aircraft, taking out a Russian helicopter with a missile normally slung under a fighter jet. MQ-9 Reaper, the big American one, the kind you've seen in every drone strike headline for 20 years. A full-size aircraft that flies for a day straight and hunts from miles up. It earns its spot here for one specific afternoon in March 2023, when a Russian Su-27 flew up over the Black Sea, dumped jet fuel all over it, and then clipped its propeller until it crashed into the sea. First direct physical contact between the Russian and American air forces since the Cold War. The crew wiped the drone's software mid-fall, so nothing useful could be pulled out of the wreck. Russia gave the pilots medals and said they never touched it. Bober, a Ukrainian long-range attack drone, and the whole idea is to copy the Shahed's playbook. Cheap, simple, and you build an absurd number of them. It flies 1,000 miles, carries a 130-pound warhead, costs around $55,000, and they crank out about 100 a day, which is Shahed-level production. These are the things quietly flying deep into Russia and hitting oil refineries hundreds of miles from the border. There's a whole family of them now with names like Bober, Beaver, and Liuti, all doing the same job. Fiber-optic FPV, the newest twist, and it fixes the one weakness every drone before it has, jamming. Instead of a radio link, this one trails a spool of glass fiber thinner than a fishing line, unwinding it as it flies, so there's literally nothing to jam. Crystal clear video, pinpoint control, and it works in places where every other drone just drops out of the sky. Russia fielded the first one in late 2024, called Kamikaze Vandal, and now both sides are racing to build them by the thousands. The catch is, you're a drone dragging 6 miles of glass thread behind you, but out there, unjammable beats elegant every time.